Today, we're going to talk about business growth strategy and part three of the three parts that would cover other topics. So today we're covering dominate. This is absolutely full of ideas on how to create growth in your business, no matter what your business is. So grab a pen and paper and get ready to get some strategies mapped out. Now, last session, we talked about how to innovate for success, which was finding, fresh eyes for fresh new opportunities. Today, we're going to talk about the power of owning your space. So if you want to be the top company in your field, you want to be the one that everyone refers to, everyone knows is top notch and really respected as an expert in your niche, then you can make it so. That's within your power. You want to become the leader in your space. You don't have to have the highest sales. You don't have to have been around the longest to become the go-to in your industry. But making yourself the leader in your field is going to create the growth that you're looking for. So how do you create that identity for yourself so that you can step into it and grow? Well, I've got some thoughts for you. Number one, you really want to position yourself as the thought leader in your industry. So that means knowing your material, first of all, and spending time exploring and sharing your material and really working to keep yourself on the leading edge of what's going on in your industry. If you want to be a thought leader in your industry, that's what you need to do. And this goes back a little bit to something we talked about on part two, Innovate, where you set aside that business development time each week. You really need to step away from that busy work every single week for an hour, 2 hours, half a day, whatever it is that you can make time for, so that you can become a thought leader in your industry, so that you can find out what's going on and form your own opinions on it and form your own strategies, whatever it is that's going to keep you at the forefront of what's happening in your niche. So that's a really important thing for all different levels, is setting aside that business development time or that thought time in every single week. The number two is to be everywhere, like everywhere. So this is also how you create buzz and momentum around your product or your service as well. So you want to get on panels, you want to guest on other platforms, you want to contribute, attend events. You want to leverage your time as much as possible because, of course, you have other things to do, right? You can't be out and about all the time and guesting on things all the time. So make sure you're choosing wisely and you're leveraging your time as much as possible and repurposing content where you can, but get as much exposure as you can. Be everywhere you can be. Number three is to create great content. And this is going to tie a bit into one and two. You need to be a thought leader, and to get yourself featured, you need to create great content. But that might be a blog, podcast, videos. Maybe it's just high value social media posts. Whatever makes sense for you in your niche is the kind of content that you want to be creating. But you need to be putting value out there in the world in order to be a leader in your space, right? So you figure out what makes sense for you as a person. Maybe you're not comfortable with video, you rather write, and maybe blogs are more for you, but you want to be continually creating great content. And number four, to dominating or becoming a leader in your space, is to know everyone, to network, which I hate using the word network because it makes some of us kind of recoil in fear. I see you introverts out there. But there's a saying that your network is your net worth, and it's true. You cannot do it alone. The more connected you are, the more opportunity there is, period. It took me a long time to accept and embrace that. As an introvert myself, but you need to find ways to connect with peers and in audiences and opportunities. So it's really important to find a way that you can consistently be growing your network. And there are ways, if you're uncomfortable with the traditional, networking type groups and that sort of thing, you don't have to do that. If that's not your thing and you're not comfortable with that, then you don't have to do that. But there are still ways to grow your network. And maybe that's just reaching out to other people in your space, electronically via email or via voice notes or whatever it happens to be. And maybe it's, offering them to guest on your platform. It always helps when you're trying to build your network. Doesn't matter how you're doing it, whether it's at a networking event or whether you're just reaching out to people one-on-one for a specific purpose, is to offer value first, right? So you're not asking for anything. First, you're helping them without asking for anything in return. That's how you start building that relationship. So figure out what that looks like for you, what's comfortable, but really start consistently building your network over time, because that network is going to take you all sorts of places you just can't get to on your own. So number five is to contribute everywhere. So don't stick with one platform. You want to reuse and repurpose your content across as many platforms and channels as you can to get maximum amplification. So take your podcast and repurpose it as a blog. Then take that video and pop it on YouTube. Then cut it up for social media snippets. Maybe you rewrite that same thing, that same podcast episode slightly and make an article that you can submit to other platforms. So take your content and repurpose it and put it everywhere, right? You want to be on all the platforms. If you're only doing one platform, if you're only doing one thing, you're going to be missing a lot of your ideal prospects because they might not all be reading the blog, right? They might be on the social media. Obviously, there's certain social media platforms that are going to be better for your audience, right? You know your avatar, you know your ideal buyer, you know where they tend to hang out. But even with that knowledge, you're still going to want to put it across multiple platforms. And remember, if they see you, they read a blog, and then they see you on social media, and then they see a YouTube video, that's all building your authority because they're seeing you everywhere, even if it's a very similar content. So contribute everywhere. Number 6 is PR. Just do it. PR is getting unpaid exposure through features on other platforms like magazines, influencer blogs, TV, and it's priceless. It's free and it's priceless. You can't get that kind of authority in many other ways. So especially there's certain platforms that are much better for building authority. They give you a stronger authority. A well-known magazine, getting featured in Forbes or Shape or some of these other magazines, it gives you instant authority. TV gives you instant authority. There's all sorts of amazing publications that you can contribute to. PR is an entire week-long course on its own. But actually, we have an amazing podcast coming up with the queen of PR, Gloria Chow, and she's going to walk you through what PR is and how to write a pitch and get yourself featured. And it's coming up on the podcast, so you can watch out for that as well. But definitely set aside some time to look at your PR and submit to magazines. Number 7 is awards. Apply for awards. This is the ultimate social proof to give you authority in your space. And you're not going to win most awards if you don't apply. I don't know. We as women, we tend to kind of magically wait for somebody to acknowledge us and to find us. And that's not really how it works. You need to apply. You can nominate yourself. Most people do. So apply for awards. You should have it in your schedule at least a couple times a year to look for awards that are applicable in your space and put together the steps to apply for them. It's great to have for PR. It's great to be able to share that on all of your channels. And even if you don't win, there's still exposure just by being nominated and being part of the process. So definitely put on your list that you should be applying for awards. And number 8, and this is the last one, is mentoring. So get a mentor for yourself when you're just starting out, for sure. And when you're ready, be a mentor, because sharing knowledge is just an incredible thing. And the benefits are huge for both parties. And that's really going to also help you become a leader in your space. So recap for you, if you didn't get them all jotted down. Number 1 is for making yourself a leader in your field, is positioning yourself as a thought leader in the industry. Number 2, be everywhere, like everywhere. Number 3, create great content. Number 4, know everybody, network. And number 5, contribute everywhere. Number 6, PR. Number 7, awards. And number 8 is mentoring. So 2 things I want you to do this week. Number 1, I want you to map out how you want to be known in your niche. So in your particular business, in your particular space or industry, what does a thought leader look like to you? First, you need to know what that looks like before you can become it, right? So what does that look like to you? And then number 2, pick one of these methods that we've talked about and start creating your authority. And you don't have to do all of the things right now, but decide which of these is going to get you where you want to be or closer to where you want to be, and start working on it. So is that creating content? Is that reaching out to people to guest on their blog or to be featured in the magazine? Is it looking at your PR? Is it looking at awards? What is it for you that you want to do next that's going to help you build your authority in your space? And do that this week.